We are live. Welcome back. Let me fix my hat. There we go. We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. We are starting a little bit late tonight. Coach Ed Orgeron met with the media, and I hate using that term, but met with LSU Nation today and gave an update on the LSU Tigers. We will break that down. I was on my way to practice today to go watch them, but then the rain definitely stopped that. And so instead, I went and got my wife some, crumble cookies or whatever, did a good husbandly duty, and now we're here. So we'll talk about what Coach O said today, some tidbits that he said, some injury updates that he had. He did talk about Derek Stingley, Glenn Logan. Derek Stingley, like I said last night, is going to be 100% fine and be ready to go. Ed Orgeron does talk about Derek Stingley moving over to the offensive side of the football. Very interesting. We'll talk about that as well. They have not installed it, but it looks like they will be putting packages in for Derek Stingley this fall. Also, we will talk to Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. Will be joining us. He's been out at practice every single day. I'm going to ask him a lot of questions about what he's seen, what's the best thing he's seen, maybe something that concerns him, and then obviously we will talk recruiting. And if you have a question for us in the comments, put hashtag Ask Blake. So, guys, it helps me if you put in the comments hashtag Ask Blake. So if you have a question, I can go and find it. So we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to break down. I know a lot of people asked me about Jared Small last night. Ed Orgeron also confirmed that he's not a starter, but he's going to be in the rotating four. So very interesting. What do they do with Mike Jones? Mike Jones? But before we get started, guys, as always, let's get to a couple of comments, and then we'll pay some bills, and then we'll get started. Red Stick 2020 says, this is from the early ones. Just if you want to go watch Coach Ed Orgeron after the show, you can do that. Just go to LSU Football on Facebook or wherever you get your LSU stuff, and you can watch it. David Singley, Dylan, Robert, Wade all says, let's go. Charlie Viator, my good friend, Mr. Charlie Viator, how are you, sir? Sends us some stars via Facebook. We appreciate that. Yeah, Devin Stobbs says, corn baseball. If you build it, they will come. What an amazing opening to a baseball game. That gave me goosebumps. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely 100% amazing. I did hear that Jared Billiot says, man, Coach O said he made a promise to that boy and his parents that he's going to play Landon Jackson at D-line, and that's what he's going to be with first. You got to love Coach O. Yeah, if he makes a promise, guys, he doesn't break it, and it's crazy how people say fire him consistently on their Rudy Poo shows. So we'll talk about that. We'll deep dive into what Coach Orgeron. This is where we're going to find out the most about camp when the guys put on the pads. Corey Connor having a big day, like you mentioned, but we'll get into that. So let's do this. Let's pay some bills around this thing. We'll talk about some LSU football, get Mike Scarborough in here, and we'll continue to cut it up with him, and we'll go from there. But none better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons at betonline.ag. Guys, with 63 years of experience, nobody is more equipped to service in your vehicle more than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, truck repair, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Breakdown on the side of the road, they will come and get you if you're in the greater Baton Rouge area. 225-664-9992. Sear that in your memory. 225-664-9992. Or go see them over at 2500 Florida Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, you want to bet on the NFL? Preseason's on the way. Preseason is already taking flight. If you want to bet on LSU football, if you want to bet on who's going to win a national championship or Super Bowl before the season starts, get over there today. BetOnline.ag, guys, for 50% off your first welcome bonus when you sign up. Tell them that your good friend Mr. Blake Ruffino sent you by doing the AYS podcast. That's BetOnline.ag. BetOnline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling. Craig Schilling says, and we are live, that we are. Blake Schilling says, D-line is so deep. If I knew he could be effective, I'd move Landon Jackson to tight end. Well, look, Ed has done this multiple times where he's made promises to people. Look, Devontae Lee is somebody that comes to mind first off. Look, Devontae was a guy that wanted to play wide receiver. They gave him a year. He didn't really crack into the starting lineup. they move him over to defense when Bo Pelini gets here, and then DJ Mangus asks him if he wants to move back to wide receiver, and that he does. So, look, Ed has always kept as many promises as he could when he mentions to these individuals and these guys in recruiting. You got to give Ed Orgeron credit when he makes a promise not only to the kid but to the mother and dad that he's going to keep it. Now, I do think that LSU, I don't know how much faith that, again, it's still my biggest concern. My number one biggest concern about LSU football across the board is the simple fact that LSU does not have really good depth at tight end. They don't have good depth at tight end. Let me while I'm thinking about this, everyone do me a favor. We got started a little bit late, so do me a favor by hitting the like and share. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Share it to your social medias. If you're on Facebook, hit the like, share to your social media, share to some groups on Facebook. There's 291 of you that are in here currently, and I need all of you to share. So just want to mention that right off the top. But look, that's what makes Ed Orgeron, and quite honestly, what makes him so damn good in recruiting is because he doesn't break promises. We remember Ed when he went up to Derek Brown and Big Cat and all those guys, and he walked up to him and he pointed to him and says, "I told you were going to be a first-round pick, kid. I told you were going to be a first-round pick." That was the kind of stuff in 19 that was celebrated. We had Bill King on from the Bill King Show, the King of College Football, on last night, and I disagree with him on what he said about LSU. But the biggest question around Ed Orgeron locally and nationally is can he duplicate what he did in 2017, 18, and 19? I mean, can he have a winning season where he's winning 9 and 10 football games? Can he do that? Can he get back to a situation where LSU wins 15 games and they win a national title? By the way, if Ed Orgeron wins another national title at LSU, he's the best coach in LSU's history. That's not debate. So I've had a lot of people ask me that question. It's not up for debate. So just making that clear, Ed Orgeron is who you think he is. He doesn't sugarcoat. He doesn't tell you the lies across the board. A man that's sometimes a little bit too truthful to you, and you ridicule him for it. The BR media always ask for transparency, but when a man gives them transparency, they act like spoiled little brats and kids, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. You spoiled little brat. You spoiled little brat. Ed Orgeron told you what you need to know, and instead of, you're not even asking him football questions, you're asking him political questions. That's what some people were asking him tonight, which is stupid, and we don't talk politics on this damn show. But he is who he is. He doesn't sugarcoat a damn thing for you. Stupid. Blaine Smith says, Mike Scarborough on tonight. Woo. Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Woo. Jared Billiot says, going to be fine, just a camp injury. Yeah, with Derek Stingley. And look, guys, we got to mention this too. Guys like Stingley, guys like Ty Davis Price, I've been in those locker rooms. I've been in those college football camps. Sometimes you got to let those guys go. Meaning sometimes if they're a little nicked up, you don't play them. If it were game tomorrow, Ty Davis Price and Derek Stingley would be matched up. Derek Stingley has to make sure he's healthy for this season. Fantastic freshman year, but he's got to make sure that he's able to do what he can do on really just being a great defensive back before they worried about offense. But they did. And here's talking another thing about Ed, a promise that he made to Stingley Sr., a promise that he made to Junior. You're going to play offense in year 3. This man doesn't get enough credit for how great of a human being he is. Stupid ass son of bitches. Jamie Hodges says, hashtag Ask Blake, Stingley got him a GT 500. Yeah, that's a Cobra, isn't it? The Mustang Cobra. It's very nice. Yeah, that it is. And did you see what walk-ons is doing? Did you see what BYU, the bar owner from Utah, paying walk-ons tuition money so they can go to school? Don't come at me with name, image, and likeness and NIL is not good for college football. Get the frick out of here with that redneck-ass comment. With that, I'm a 50-year-old man that's taken away from my college football. Stop with that bullshit. Yeah, I'm fired up tonight because I see the comments. I see the, the group messages, people making fun of Ed. It's bullshit, man. I'm tired of it. Philip Rose says, hey, Blake, which freshman wide receiver do you think hits the field first? I love the show. Thanks, Philip. I think right now what we would assume, and I don't know if you're – and, Philip, this is a question. Do you characterize Jack Bech as a tight end or a wide receiver? Because if you characterize him as an H-back wide receiver type, then obviously he's going to be the first one that hits the field. To the extent that I think he gets 5 to 7 targets throughout a game. Now, if you're talking just a true wide receiver, again, Ed Orgeron talked about Brian Thomas Jr. again tonight, and a guy that I've been telling you since Saturday on film and on the field has been burning really good DBs. He's put guys like Eli Ricks in a blender. He's made the safeties not look so hot. And that's not a slight. He's lost some reps. He's won some reps. From a wide receiver, I compared him to Terrace Marshall, but the more I keep watching Brian Thomas Jr., I don't want to put this comp on him. He's starting to remind me a little bit from a body, from a height, size, and maybe weight of an A.J. Green. I think A.J. Green is a better fit than Terrace Marshall because of the strict speed. If you remember A.J. Green at Georgia, he had electric speed. That is who I'm going to characterize him at. You're not supposed to be 6'5", 198, and that damn fast. The last guy we saw that was a freshman that came in and tore shit up. I mean, I know he didn't necessarily tear it up at Florida State, but a guy with that same height and that same weight is Randy Moss. That's a lot to put on a kid when you say A.J. Green and Randy Moss. What I mean by that, I'm not talking about production. I'm talking about size and weight, because if you go look at Randy Moss and you go look at A.J. Green, it's extremely similar. Very similar. Like, scary similar. So for people who say that my takes are shit out there, go look at the height and weight and go look how they run and put them side by side. Kenny says the same Rudy Poo who wanted Tom Herman. Well, Tom Herman doesn't even have a job. Tom Herman doesn't even have a job. He's a Rudy Poo. I'll never forget, if you remember when a recruit picked another school other than Texas, they had the camera inside of Texas's football ops, and Tom Herman's flipping the bird to the camera because the kid picked another school. He was telling the kid to go frick himself. Dorian said, share, brother. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. David Singley Jr. says, would be great bit, but I think you're saying, but I doubt it would be as good as the first one. Which one are you talking about? Henry says on Facebook Live, is it just me or is Coach O speaking with a swagger confidence comparable to 2019? I think that you're right. Not only do I think that you're right, it's not about thinking at this point, right, Henry? It's not even thinking. We're not, if you can't see that at this point, if you can't see that the swag is back, what's that movie? Stella got her groove back. Ed's got his groove back. Ed's got his groove back. And there's no more thinking about that anymore. You look, I brought a national guy on last night and told you what he thought about LSU. Now it's time to start rallying around your head coach. It's time to start rallying around these kids that are on this team. It's time to start rallying around the players that are going to make plays. It's time to start rallying around Max Johnson. I got an argument, but a debate today with a fan who still thinks that Miles Brennan should be the starter if he comes back over Max Johnson. That comparison in and of itself is not only Rudy Poo, but it's not real. It's not in the real world. Miles Brennan isn't here. The good thing that I heard from Ed tonight that I think that I'm going to start off with Scarborough when he joins us is, look, Ed's saying again that Garrett Nussmeier making some good plays. One thing that he did say, though, is he's limited to the interceptions, right? I don't want to hear that he's having interceptions. I don't want to hear that Rudy Poo-ness. A couple more. We're going to get to Mike Scarborough. Blake Schilling says, hashtag ask Blake, not if I was coach, if I was landed personally. Look, he made I see what you're saying, Blake. But the kid wants to play D-line. He doesn't want to play tight end. So therefore, if he wants to do it and you recruited him in that, you got to let him do it. Denzel says no one needed proof from Brad Kelly after he went 4-8. But somehow has to show he can win after one bad pandemic season. Yeah, and they're not in the conference and they're not at LSU. That should tell you what Brian Kelly, not Brad Kelly, but Brian Kelly goes through at Notre Dame. And look, there was a point that they wanted Brian Kelly out. Stupid. I mean, the guys made playoffs. You can't get high-ranking recruits, in my opinion, to Notre Dame with things that are going on. All right, let's do this. I'm going to get to a very quick break. We're bringing Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com on right after this. We got a lot to get into with my good friend Mike. So stay with us. We're going to talk some LSU football and some LSU recruiting, and none better than our good friend Mr. John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. Guys, if you're thinking about buying a new home, saving money the mortgage you have now, or even doing a cash-out refi, the timing has never been better. GMFS has been changing lives since 1999, and John Patton is the guy that's out there killing it. 225-614-1234. That's 225-614-1234. Tell him your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino, sent you on by. If you want to save $200, $300, $400, $500 on your mortgage, John Patton is the guy to get in touch with. Again, that's 225-614-1234. Tell him your good friend sent you on by. All right, our good friend, Mr. Mike Scarborough, is joining us. Mike, what's happening? Mike, I got to tell you something. I know you already know this, but I got to make a confession. Practice was canceled, and I went to Crumble Cookies. And I told you I wasn't going to eat one, Mike. But God, dog, is that – those things are good, man. I'm just letting you know if LSU's practice is canceled again, I'm probably going to go there again.
So are you saying you did end up eating one before you got home?
I ate a bite of one. The milk chocolate chip had me rolling. I'm just going to throw that out there. So next time practice is canceled, I got to have one, Mike. They were really good.
Well, at least you didn't have to wait in line for an hour like most people were doing when they first opened up.
I'm just going to go when it rains. I mean, I think it's a great time to go. Anyway, Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com is our guest. We'll let you guys know everywhere that you can go to his website, subscribe, and everything like that. Mike, I want to start off here. Ed Orgeron, look, Mike, tell me I'm not crazy. Ed's got a swag back, right? Like, I mean, the confidence that he's oozing night in and night out when you hear him, I'm not losing my mind. Am I? I mean, he's got that edge back that we're seeing, correct?
I think so. I think there's something to be said for these coaches having been with each other all summer long, having a spring underneath their belt. I mean, I feel like I'm always saying the same things about what happened last year, just being an anomaly. Your national championship hangover, your all the opt-outs, no spring cut short, no summer get-togethers, kids off campus, kids with COVID, injuries. I mean, it was just an absolute mess. Bad hires. I just think there's something to be said about how eager this team is because of how hungry they are, how embarrassed they were after last season. And I just think the new guys have probably brought some infectious enthusiasm with them. And I think that's why I think a lot of people are starting to really open their eyes to LSU. There's a lot more people regionally and nationally that are starting to say things about LSU that they weren't saying several months ago. And it's not just the local people that are thinking 10 wins is reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, my good friend Michael Bratton over at SEC Mike, I mean, he picks him, Mike, to win the SEC West. He talked, and talking with him, he's talking about the depth and experience, and he thinks, Barrett Saleh, I think is how you say his name, he's got LSU winning the West. So I think a lot of people, when they start looking at this team, they're saying, hey, look, they got a lot of depth, they got a lot of experience, they got a good quarterback returning. That Miles has been what he's been, so we'll have to wait and see. We do have some questions already firing in here, Mike, kind of to the same point that we're talking. Craig asks, is there any similarities about 2021 team and 2019 in practice thus far? Mike, I said this on my show this week. Ball's not dropping the ground. I was out there with you. We did your show right after practice. Mike, they look smooth. Do you see the same as well?
I do. I just think there's a lot of talent. Certainly, we're given, obviously, you've got multiple new coaches. We're assuming that the offensive line is going to be much more improved. You got a veteran group there. I've never been one that's picked on the running backs because I felt all along when you've got that many bodies there, you're going to have a solution or two or three.
Right.
So that's never concerned me. And the same thing goes at wide receiver. While some might think you're top heavy with Butte, people aren't talking enough about Corey Moore, Jeray Jenkins, and on and on. I mean, there's just so many bodies there. And we're hearing things about Brian Thomas now and Jack Besh, just the time that we're seeing out there, how fantastic he looks. I just think, look, there's so much talent there. And then there is the question marks. I mean, there's the doomsday scenario if Max gets hurt. There's a doomsday scenario if we have one of those famous LSU issues where someone's missing games and it's a undisclosed team situation,
Right.
which we get every year, don't we? And so we're not aware of those right now. Those usually we usually find out those on game day,
Right.
when they're not running out on the field to play. So you just don't. But if there's knock on wood, no significant catastrophic injuries between now and the UCLA game, and of course the first scrimmage is on Saturday. I'm still sticking with my 10-2 prediction. I'm not backing off of it. And there was times with, worrying about Miles Brennan not be there as a number 2 because I was thinking Max the whole way, and then Rosenthal. But I'm not going to budge off 10-2. And I still think if Max goes the whole way, there could be some magical things happen that get you to 11-1 or better. And then those guys that you named earlier are going to look like geniuses.
My guy, we got a lot of questions firing in here for you. I'm going to get to them, but I got a couple questions to follow up with that. Then does it make? I'm not saying does it make sense because I know it makes sense. But Ed talks about tonight that they were going to put in packages for Derek Stingley. I know it was a promise, but Mike, they're so stacked there. Like, how do you come up with scenarios? I mean, do you put them in the red zone? Do you? I mean, there's so many questions there. But do you think that that's I'm not going to say smart move. It's just a question mark that I have. When you heard Ed say that today, I guess what was your reaction to it?
Well, and we talked about it on our show last night, and I know you've talked about it before. I don't see why you would have Stingley on punt returns. I think you've got enough athletes on that football team to get the job done. If it's not Trey Palmer, I'm all for Jack Besh or Sage Ryan. Jack Besh did it fantastically for St. Thomas More and was an absolute weapon, and he's for sure-handed. So, but
can you imagine a tight end punt return, Mike, really quickly? I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, continue.
I didn't even think about that. But of course, he's a hybrid to me.
I mean, it's not like he can. I mean, I'm just saying, like, how talented is that kid? That's my point, though. Like, you got so much depth there.
Yeah, but as far as Stingley at wide receiver, I mean, I know they promised him, but I'm all for it. I'm all for even just saying that you've got packages for him, and you absolutely don't.
I didn't really think about that scenario off the top of my head. Like, are you telling Alabama, hey, we're coming out here with Derek Stingley, he lines up, and then so many people focus on him that you run something else? I guess that was a scenario I didn't really think about because we're only 10 minutes out from the press conference. That's interesting.
Well, and then it is something that, of course, I don't know what the history of gadget plays and trick plays have been in the last 2 decades, but you always seem to use them against Florida. That seems like the game that they do theirs and LSU does theirs. So do you plant the seed where you bring in Stingley early in the season for 1 or 2 drives for something because you want to put it on film, and then all of a sudden you've got it there for Florida, or you hold it all the way to A&M, or maybe you use it in Tuscaloosa. I'm not against any of that.
Could you imagine, Mike? Could you imagine if they put Stingley in some kind of package against UCLA, and you gotta put a package in there because of how great you like that? You bring up a great point. You put that package in. God forbid the kid runs a Wildcat, right? Like maybe he gives it to TDP. I mean, and then all of a sudden, all year long, Mike, you got a game plan for that. So I think it's a good thing. It's crazy to think about the depth there. We have a question here, and I know that me and you have talked about this. It's from Roderick. He says, hashtag Ask Mike, do you think Emory is stepping up, or is Ty Davis Price and him neck and neck regardless? It could be in the backfield. Mike, Ed's talked about this a lot, though, right? He said, hey, you two guys get in there. And I thought at least, Amari Goodwin was looking good. And he says Corey Connor can't be tackled. Those two guys got to step up, though, right? Like,
yeah, but I mean, there's this, how many times over the last several years have we seen, or last year, and then, of course, when they were freshmen, where you thought maybe you had an idea of which of those guys was going to separate themselves from the other, and then the other one asserts themselves. They've been neck and neck for so long. Trying to pick a winner between those two is so difficult.
Right.
And one might be more effective in one game than the other. I don't know where you need to have one guy be the bell cow. Continue to do what LSU has done through four coaches now. DiNardo, Saban, Miles, and now Orgeron. It's running back by committee. I mean, Clyde was the one that was probably utilized the most without getting spelled a whole lot, more than any other running back group in years. So, that's always been the hallmark of LSU, is having three guys that carry the load in a game. And then LSU running backs, after their careers over at LSU, have a lot of tread left on the tire.
That's true. I mean, look, Leonard got a lot of carries, but Mike, he got spelled a lot by Geis and others. And look what he's doing in Tampa. I mean, he talks about, if you look at film of him just lifting weights, I mean, Jesus Christ, he's deadlifting like 670 pounds. I mean, it's just like stupid stuff like that. I do want to get on the defensive side before we get into some recruiting, because we got a lot of recruiting questions piling up. Mike, Jared Small continues to come up. Now, I've been the guy. I went on a rant last night. I don't care if he's a walk-on. I don't care if he's a number one, a five-star guy. If he can play, Mike, he can play. Like, the kid's got to see the field. If they have confidence in him, like, roll him out there, right?
No, and I like it, because Blake Baker comes in and he has no preconceived notions about who's he's dealing with, who's put in the time and who hasn't. He's just looking at talent and who can get the job done, who knows what they're supposed to do, where they're line up, what their assignments are. And if Small ends up being the guy that gets it done by everybody else, it doesn't matter to me whether he's got some paperwork filed somewhere that's different than everybody else's.
Me too. And look, the good thing is there, Mike, you got a lot of depth. I mean, crazy amount of depth there. And
that was one of what two or three positions that you were saying was a weak spot. Safety was another. I'm not even. There's not in my mind, there isn't a weak spot on defense anywhere, unless all of a sudden you have multiple injuries at a particular spot.
Well, and we talk about that now. Stingley's out for a little bit. He's going to be back Monday from Ed. And then you got Dwight McGlothern. When asked about it last night, Ed kind of shrugged that off. Yeah, he's on a scooter, whatever. He's going to be back. He's just shrugging it off. And it feels like, Mike, that it gives a lot of guys a lot of opportunities to make plays. And we've seen that in the spring. Ricks goes out. Then all of a sudden, here comes McGlothern. A guy that's making some buzz, at least on my show every night, is Major Burns. A guy that you watch come up, a guy that has been in this Louisiana recruiting cycle, goes to Georgia, come back. But, Mike, we got film being released of this kid just making plays all over the field. Even in recruiting, what did you like about Major Burns now that you're seeing translated onto the field?
Well, the thing about Major is probably some of the things that I also probably didn't like a little bit, but because he's kind of got that Elias, he's kind of like Eli Ricks. I'm still going to call him Elias. He's like Eli Ricks in a lot of ways, that he likes to talk trash and do all that, but the long limbs, the run, the confidence level, he's just a heck of an athlete. And I don't like the way that transpired during his recruiting process, and LSU's darn lucky to have him back.
And it's crazy, the one-year transfer rule, how that happens. There's some rumors out there about Eric Gilbert, and then now you got Major Burns now coming to LSU. I mean, it's crazy, Mike, how this all turns around.
And look, what that does for LSU, beyond just Major Burns and him filling a spot and him being a guy that we think is going to be a major asset to the defense, it's also what that does to LSU with Madison Prep. a school that's going to have talent every single year.
There might be a defensive lineman over there you might want. I'm just throwing that out there. A kid you might want.
And very high demand, and that's going to get more and more in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. Mike, one thing, and I don't know, because we really haven't heard a lot about this, and I know that you and Buddy talked about it last night, but something I haven't really heard a lot of, there are 3 phases of football. Okay, we know what Cade York's going to give you. But Mike, who do you think right now is going to be the punter? Look, people can make fun of Alabama and everything that they want to, but when you got J.K. Scott, you've always had punters that are averaging 48 to 52 yards per punt. Mike, that's flipping field position now. Who do you think can win that position? I know you talked about Avery Atkins before. Do you think that he can win it, or do you think the true freshman is going to be?
I think because Peyton Todd was so prolific at West Monroe, and we hadn't seen Avery Atkins punt, everybody just assumed it was a done deal that Peyton Todd would be the guy. And so I'll say this. If Avery Atkins ends up beating out Peyton Todd, what does that say about his ability as a punter, as well as we know what he could do on kickoff returns, on kickoffs? So LSU wins either way.
I agree with that. And look, Avery has been Buddy Sanji calls him the best kickoff man in LSU history. So I think he's right too.
Because he does it every time.
I know
you get desensitized to it, or you're spoiled rotten. You don't even flinch an eye or think it's a big deal. It's almost like the Ferguson brothers. They're your deep snapper for years and years. They never make a mistake. And so you take them for granted. And so when Buddy says that, it's like, and you think about it, it's like, for real. A lot of those balls go over the yellow painted fence. Almost
right.
A lot of them do.
Right. That's right. Well, and Greg McManus talked about that when he was with the Saints. He talked about when a kicker gets a touchback, the injury rate of the team drops down, Mike, by 20%. Think about that. If a guy's going to kick a touchback, the injury rate of your team going down, that's another big thing. And obviously, Les, God bless it, man. I don't even know what to say about that.
It used to be this time of year when we would be talking about, hey, which of the freshmen are going to be, guys that we're going to see earlier? How many true freshmen are going to play? We used to constantly talk about kickoff team, right? And that's where your newcomers would make a mark. Well, you don't make a mark at LSU with Avery Atkins kicking off.
No, you don't.
So there's no returns.
Peyton Todd would have to be the guy.
Huh?
Peyton Todd would have to be the guy if you're going to make the mark there, right? Peyton Todd, Cade York.
I'm talking about your coverage team. Your freshman athletes that are running downfield to make tackles.
Jarvis Landry in 11.
There's no action there for them.
Right. You remember Jarvis Landry in 11. What was it, Auburn, Mike? He had the huge hit and the fumble. That was – you're right. That was the time that you saw the freshmen doing stuff like that.
And by the way, that was the time right there where there was actually some debate about Jarvis going to defense.
Really?
That's
Okay, so talk to me about that. So what was that? What was that about?
The whole thing with Jarvis was anybody who followed him recruiting, he could have easily have been an All-American safety if he wanted to be. No doubt.
Could you imagine moving that man to safety? Seriously though, could you have imagined? And Mike, and here's the crazy thing with that DB core. If you're talking about Tyron, you're talking about Claiborne, you're talking about Jalen Collins that got drafted, Reed. Could you have imagined him back there? That would have been crazy.
Because you think about, oh man, what a bad trajectory for his career. I don't believe that. I think Jarvis Landry absolutely could have been an All-American as a safety.
That's crazy. Mike Scarborough
that's how because he has a defensive mentality as a receiver.
He does. And look, he can chuck that son of a gun when talking about throwing it. Look at what he does in the NFL. Mike, he threw a ball last year 65 yards. 65 yards in a game. He took a crow hop and chunked it. The kid's just an overall athlete, man, which is just crazy. Mike, we do have some questions in here about recruiting, and I can't
hold on. That makes me also reminds me of Michael Clayton laying some wood on special teams. I mean, we've had some receivers over the years that could absolutely do it. I think Jamar Chase could do some damage on somebody.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because of how physical he was. I'm trying to think who else would have. I don't think Jefferson could have done it or Marshall. But you're right. I mean, those physical guys, that's funny. I remember Michael Clayton laying the wood. And where did Clayton go to high school?
I guarantee you that there's somebody watching your show that remembers which game it was, and I remember where it was a return. But there was a special teams play that Michael Clayton made in his career at LSU that it was like, man, you when it was over, you wanted to call a chiropractor for the other guy. It was bad.
Hey, man, all I'm going to say, chiropractor changed my life. I'm just going to throw that out there. Mike, somebody has been asking this, and it's been a constant thing, but there was a number 83 at tight end. Somebody being moved. It seems like Orgeron confirmed that wasn't Landon Jackson. But Tyler Cormier asked, do we have a update? Because there's been like this secret little rumor about number 83 moving over to tight end. Do you have any update or anything on that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But now you've got me wondering who that might be.
I remember that you and Buddy said that you could see a number 83 working with tight ends, and then a couple of people have mentioned it, and they were thinking it was Landon Jackson because they said it was a taller kid, but they couldn't confirm who it was. We would have known if we were out of practice today, Mike, with the damn rain. Who would have known? Mike, let's get to some recruiting. I can't find this.
Maybe it was a kid from Mobile.
Might be. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't.
He's got the body. He's got the body for
it. We'll see. Look, we're gonna definitely see. I don't know who that is.
I'm just throwing stuff out there. I'm gonna have to dig for you.
All right, Mike. We're getting some recruiting questions on here. Look, a lot of people are asking the same question. I mean, it's been about 2 weeks since Emory Jones committed. It's kind of been a little quiet on the recruiting trail. I know that you've had a lot of updates on TigerBait.com. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Is there anybody that you think that could potentially commit to LSU soon in 22?
Yeah, I think that there can be some stuff happen. I know there's been some talk about Jamon Tapp this week from Ascension Catholic. What you're having right now is everybody's just knee deep in football practice, both your college teams and your high school teams. And that's why it's slow. This is also the time of year where a lot of recruiting analysts, regional and national, will actually take vacations because this is a slow spot.
So do you think, Mike, because high school football is about to be around the corner, could you see a couple of months of it being a little quiet on the LSU trail?
No.
Okay.
I think there's going to be some action before the first high school weekend, the week of the UCLA game, which would be the start of high school. I think there could be something there, and if not, the following week, or both.
A lot of people have asked about Jacoby Matthews. Now, Mike, we know that he went to Texas A&M. I know that you've talked about it, but just for our listeners, they've heard what I've had to say, but you cover recruiting better than anybody. Are you having a little bit of confidence that Jacoby might make his way back in this class?
I do. But we're in a strange new world with the way things are transpiring with name, image, and likeness, and we're gonna have to wait to see how some of this plays out. And it's going to get even more interesting once the college football season starts, and there's home football games, and guys are going on unofficial and official visits. I think there's a whole lot of people out there that see the NIL deal, and they're going above and beyond what's actually is a part of that whole thing. And it is the wild, wild west, but I think some people are trying to make it wilder than it's supposed to be.
I want to stick on there for just a second and get your opinion on this. We saw the BYU sponsor paying for the walk-ons, paying all their tuition today. We saw Brandon Landry kind of doing some of the same. Mike, there are rules and regulations per states in name, image, and likeness, but they don't have a penalty or fine associated with a lot of those states. There's no real action that can be taken in criminal court or civil court currently with that going on. So, Mike, my question is, what do you – so if someone breaks a rule, so to speak, what the frick do you do? You're not going to take to court. Is LSU going to sue Texas A&M for something, or is it going to be vice versa? Then what court is it in?
Yeah,
I mean, what do you do there?
I don't know. I mean, are you going to see it? I think we're going to see some crazy stuff. We're going to hear stories. There's going to get stuff confirmed. It's and then, like you said, the NCAA has no teeth. You know, the only thing they can do now is really officiate and watch you if you're contacting recruits in a dead period. I mean, because this NIL thing just changes everything. I mean, I think we're going to see some strange scenarios that we can't even think of right now.
Mike, the walk-on thing, people are calling me crazy. But again, I've made this scenario before. I think it's going to happen, Mike. Imagine you have a class where you got your 25 scholarship limit done with, or you're close upon it. Mike, what if you got a walk-on and hypothetically, AYS wants to sponsor the kid and give him tuition and pay him stuff? I mean, the sky's the limit on this one, right? Like the days of the numbers are done with. I mean, 25 is over with in some aspects, right?
Well, the problem with the walk-on deal is, and I would need to brush up on that. The reason why I don't think that works is because with walk-ons, they have certain dates where they can actually show up and be a part of your program. They have limited access to the nutritional center. There's all sorts of things that don't apply to walk-ons that applies to full scholarship players.
Do you think they'll change it?
And then it's also a deal where at some point, if they're depending on how many, they're probably gonna have to beef up a lot of those rules, because you can't all of a sudden be playing that walk-on game and like Nebraska 40 years ago.
Right, like Bear Bryant. Hey kid, you're on the swimming scholarship. I mean, I just think, Mike, if there's a will, there's a way. I could be wrong there, but I feel like if Ed Orgeron, Nick Saban, all these great recruiters are going to find a way to do it, but. I might be crazy. All right, we do have – this has been an ongoing thing, Mike, for 2 weeks in my chat. But Henry Pugh asked Mike, what's our chances on Harold Perkins and his uncle? Everybody doesn't just want Harold Perkins. They want the uncle to commit too. But how's your confidence on Harold Perkins?
So the uncle has become a folk hero?
A folk hero. It's every night. Somebody's talking about his uncle. They want him to commit. They want him to sign a national letter of intent. It's been crazy, but let's talk about Harold Perkins.
I like the glass. I like the glass he was holding in the video. But yeah, no, I like LSU's in a good spot with Harold Perkins. What's that?
Was that before or after 12 o'clock in Texas? I mean,
yeah. I did look like a nice spot and a nice balcony. I'll give Texas A&M that.
I agree.
But I think LSU's in a good spot for Harold Perkins. Obviously, Texas A&M's battling there. But that's one that Blake Baker is really forged a strong relationship with in recent and all the months he's been here.
Mike, I've said this because I'm not someone who follows and does recruiting like you, but I do have something. Last question, I'll get you out of here. You've been fantastic as always. Do you see? Look, I don't want to put this label on this past class, but everything that we're seeing, this past class, number one, it's a two-part question. Do you think that this last class was the best that Ed has had from top to bottom? And number two, do you think that the role in recruiting, this snowball effect that they're having right now with all the great talent in the state, do you think that this is going to stop anytime soon with how great these classes and the talent in the state's been?
Well, like right now, I'm starting to wonder. There's a few positions that I'm wondering if the gravy train might be having a little gap in the next couple of years. There's a couple positions that I want to see for 24 that I'm kind of scratching my head, like why isn't some names popping up? So I want to see how that plays out during the football season. But I think with what's left on the board and how special this 22 class is, I think this has the opportunity of being Ed Orgeron's best class. The Walker Howard, Will Campbell, Emery, and Jacoby Matthews, when he gets back in, and others. If get Shaz Preston on board, get Kendrick Law, obviously battling Alabama for him. You got Armela down in Florida, who I think LSU's is well positioned for as another offensive lineman. You add that to the group. And then I want to see what Coach Davis does. Not only is there maybe some other offensive linemen that come into town for visits in the fall for 22, but I think we're going to see a big number of class of 23 kids that make their way to Tiger Stadium for unofficial visits for football games this fall. And I want to see what those guys look like and where they're coming from. The fact that you had 2 kids from Missouri there for Boys from the Boot, I like seeing. And both of them highly touted.
That's interesting, Mike. That's very interesting.
And those were obviously relationships that he was forging while at Arkansas, which we knew that at some point we would see. Guys that he had on his board, and he was forging relationships at Arkansas, and then he would bring and you would add that to the LSU's board.
All I'm going to say is this. My man Brad Davis can recruit now, Mike, and he can – look, if you have good, productive offensive line recruiting, that's another part in this. And what was it? I think Will Campbell made a statement to people too. He goes, hey, man, there was nobody else outside of LSU that recruited me harder than Brad Davis. I told him every week that I wasn't flipping, and he goes, I'm going to make you flip every week. I mean, it's just crazy what he would say. But, Mike, like always, you've been fantastic. I know that everybody knows that you're killing it at Tiger Bait, but they need to go subscribe to everything that you're doing. Tell them where they can go and what they need to do to be a subscriber.
Thanks for the kind words, and thanks for all you do. And by the way, we were supposed to have Blake out there with us today. Well, we were on our way to practice this afternoon, and we got the text saying that it wouldn't happen. So we were going to have Blake with us for another instant analysis, and so we hopefully get him out there sometime soon. But go to tigerbait.com, subscribe. We want to have you. $99 a year. Choose that package. You basically get 3 months free when you do that with the annual package. And a lot of the stuff is free as well. Check out our YouTube channel, LSU Tigers on Tiger Bait, and our Facebook page as well. And but go to Tiger Bait, subscribe. We want to have you as a part of our community.
My man, you've been fantastic. As always, we'll talk to you soon, and you have a good night.
All right, you too, Blake. Thanks, man.
That's Mike Scarborough from tigerbait.com. Always kills it, man. Always kills it. Look, he kind of told you something a little bit without telling you about some LSU recruiting. So what I would say is get over there and subscribe. If you like LSU recruiting, I would highly suggest you go over there and subscribe to tigerbait.com. Let's get to a couple of these comments before we get on out of here. Episode 300 Saturday, maybe. I'm thinking about it, but then I want to do episode 300. We'll just do it Saturday, I think. Ryan Thibodeau says Uncle Park. Yeah, Uncle Park. Look, man, he wants his nephew to come on to the boot. He wants the nephew to come on to the boot. Tony Weaver, my good friend, he says hashtag the goats. I appreciate that. Bert Gotro says need to get my Tiger sister on as a guest speaker. Who is that? Tell her to DM me. Tell her to hit me with that hotline bling. That can only mean one thing. Lamar Williams says this guy is the GOAT, way better than that interview yesterday. Guys, I know. Come on. But look, see, here's the thing that you guys gotta come with me. I gotta go nationally sometimes, man. I gotta go nationally. Let me tell you something. Mike is one of the only guys in Baton Rouge that cover LSU that gives me the time of day I want to come on. Everybody else gives me excuses. They won't have me on their shows. They've told me that, and I tell them I won't have them on mine. If it's going to be like that, look, it's funny about this. It's because you can go see our numbers and go see theirs, and we might be better, have bigger numbers than theirs, and they get butthurt. They get butthurt. Ain't my fault. Ain't my fault. You suck. All right, let's get a couple more. I see some predictions flying up in here. Let me say this. I'm going to do this UCLA prediction right quick. I did put this on Twitter, and this is the last thing, and we'll get out of here. I did put this UCLA breakdown on Twitter. I think it was a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. But guys, I want you to go read this because go and search for it. I'll retweet it. I think that there are some things that we got to be aware about with UCLA, right? Like there are some things that UCLA brings to the table that we need to watch out for. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the quarterback, guys, he's got some serious wheels. He can throw the football really well. He's got a good tight spiral when he throws the ball. The problem is he's highly inconsistent at times. He locks down receivers and throws it to that lockdown receiver. I think that they use exotic blitzes up front. They use stunts. They use blitzes. They use different types of schemes that you don't like to see which I don't care, and I think LSU's O-line will be fine, but if your O-line's not that great, they will be fine there. On both lines of scrimmage, guys, I watched the game again today when I was going out to eat, and guys, I'm a narcissist when it comes to watching film. It's just, I guess, how it's been beat into me. Their offensive line and defensive line don't miss assignments. Okay, so what do I mean by this? They're always in the right place. The problem is athletically, they're getting their teeth kicked in. They got their teeth kicked in against USC. If USC is better than LSU, then by God, dog, all right then. Then LSU, if they lose that game up front, then I don't know what to tell them. Then they got it, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. LSU's not going to lose the game up front to UCLA. Not from what I saw, the film on UCLA and the guys that they have returning. They're coached really well. They do got a big tight end they like to throw the ball to. DTR likes to throw the ball out of the backfield to his running backs. He doesn't have explosive wide receivers on the outside. He's got talent there, but he likes throwing it to the tight ends. He likes throwing it to the running backs. Running backs that are fresh and new. Does he find a way to get the ball out to receivers? I think that this is a winnable game. However, this is what I also don't think. And this isn't a shot whoever posted this. I don't even know who posted yet. Henry, I'm cool with you. LSU's not going to win 55-17. If they do, LSU can find themselves in a playoff. If you beat a team that's got some talent like UCLA and you go on the road and do it, I think that you're primed to make a playoff push. If you dominate a team, if you hold UCLA and Chip Kelly to 17 points with the up tempo that they're going to run, okay, I'm cool with that. If you score 55 points, I'm cool with that. I would have it more of a 41-24 game, 41-27 game, 41-30 game than I would have anything else. That's what I would do. Sorry, I got a text and wanted to read it. So that's what my thoughts are on UCLA. That text kind of threw me off for a loop there. Yeah, I was going to get to this, Stefan, but I think I put too many things on. Kevin says 34-21. Edwin says, Blake, get my boy Rob Sanders from Clemson on the show. I would, man, but the last time I went on there, it was he basically just ripped LSU for 15 minutes and wanted me to rip LSU. So I like Rob, but I'm not going to bring people who are going to come in here and completely rip on LSU that I don't know really well. All right, one more. We're going to get out of here. TJ says DTR going to be running for the whole game. The LSU D-line going to give him fits. And look, that's fine, but understand that kid's got some serious wheels. Some serious wheels. That kid can run. That kid can really run. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Episode 300 Saturday morning. Be there. Episode 300. Be there Saturday morning. All right, guys. We'll see y'all then. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.